Hey everyone, I just wanted to introduce this interview coming up. I had the opportunity to speak with Darien, who was at Restoration City about 2 years ago. He was there for 2 years. And so goes into some detail about going through the program, being on staff, etc. So it was really interesting taking everything. So real quick, I just wanted to show this Restoration City's website, and which is interesting to say the least. And Mr. Darien is still, sorry, just bear with me. He is still on here, used as a testimony, even though he's been gone for 2 years. And this is the current website, which half these people I don't even think are there anymore. This is what they do. They use people still after they leave. I know that I was on a couple pictures for a long time when they had the .org site. So anyways, his testimony is right over here, which those of you just listening says, after years of running after empty promises, I tried to take my life, but Jesus had other plans. I came to Restoration City where I made him Lord and learned that God's promises are for me. Well, praise Jesus. No, he does have a good testimony in itself. He's been through a lot, so I was excited to speak with him and everything. So I hope you enjoy this and everything. Real quick, a couple of things I do want to mention is that you get a couple of comments of people saying things like, why are you still even doing this? Why are we talking about this? And we just should forgive and move on, which I have addressed this before. Wouldn't think I would have to again. Doesn't come up a lot, but every once in a while. And here's one of the main things, obviously. The place is still open and going and being run by a narcissistic asshole. And we're just trying to expose and make sure people don't go there anymore. And so that's one of the main objectives. But also, like Darien, he left 2 years ago and has been through so much spiritual and mental trauma from this place. And so, and also, most of the messages and comments I'm getting are really good, and people thanking me and Troy and other people for what we are doing. And this is not about me at all. This is about getting people's stories out there. And like I have said before, for healing to start to happen. And I am all about forgiveness. If the opportunity arises, like with Melody, yeah, we had plenty of conversations before we ever even did the interview. She asked my forgiveness, and yes, wholeheartedly, I do not want to stay bitter at people. That is not the case here. If someone reaches out to want to make amends, by all means, that is what I want, and that is what I want for others, for people to make amends, because that only will bring healing. And so, anyways, all that to say, I hope you enjoy this interview. He does go into great detail. That is why this is almost over 2 hours, but does go a lot of in-depth of what was going on there. So please enjoy. Bye.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, and
Listen,
it's pretty cool to put a name to the face. Like I said, we've been speaking
exactly.
for a little bit, and this is very much full circle. And we'll
Mhm.
get into that towards the end. We'll leave that a little surprise at the end while it's kind of full circle.
For sure. For
Um,
sure.
yeah, so I'm excited. Let's just get started. Man, Restoration City, cult life,
Right?
and
Oh
everything.
my God. Right? Like this is it's just so crazy, man. It's so crazy to be on this side of it. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to sit back and through the years that we've been it's probably about almost 2 years since it actually has been 2 years since I first got a message. You know what I'm saying? I got a message from Brenda. You know, I saw a dog profile and I was like, who the hell is this, right? But we'll get into that whole story. But I just want to, before we start, man, I just want to, just first off, just thank God, man, because, man, um, it's been a journey for sure. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to dedicate this, man, to my brother Darius. Man, it was my brother Darius who left a beautiful daughter named Chloe. Um, he passed away in a motorcycle accident. Um, what was it? 6 months prior to me going into the program. And that's pretty much his death, what I'm saying, is what kind of led me to, what I'm saying, going to RC.
Mhm.
Also to my brother Aaron, to the youth of RC, to KG, to Grant, to Noah, and to the city of Hungerford, everybody who's come in contact with me and, while I was in the program. And, I want y'all to know that we established genuine relationships, genuine friendships. I know the damage control that RC does, you know, they will smear your name. They will make you look like the worst thing ever, or that, oh, this person has returned back to sin or whatever. It just all these different things. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I'm a believer first and foremost. I was saved in 2011, August. I sat down on my knees in my college, in my apartment, and I gave my life to Christ. I was a believer. I grew up in church. I gave my life to Christ. I studied under great pastors, Pastor Tony, Pastor Ron Arbaugh. Those are two pillars in my life who are really in the whole Calvary Chapel church. You know what I'm saying? And this is for everybody who I know is watching. You may be in the third phase of the program. You may have your phone back. You may be a staff member. I know you're watching this because before I was there, me and another staff member were talking about this. We both got hit to this, and we would text each other while we're in being staff members, looking over the students, but at the same time, just our minds are blown at the fact that we have been
Mhm.
hoodwinked, bamboozled, ran amok, run astray. You know what I'm saying? So this is for everybody who's watching because I know you are. You can't say anything, but I hope that this will give you courage because a lot of the faces that were on here, you never heard of them. You maybe knew their names, but you never seen the faces, or they were in there years and years ago. But we had Kaylin, we had Amanda, who last time I heard went back. Um, but at the same time, this is for everybody who's able to hear this and able to see this. And I want you to know that there is more to life than what RC is promising you. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's
Mhm.
all manipulation to get you to stay at RC. That's all it is. It's nothing about Christ. They use your love and your yearning for Christ, and they use it as a weapon against you. Whenever you get out of line, whenever you get out of the boundary places that are set before you, you know that people always quote from Psalms, the boundary lines. The boundary lines, the Lord made the heavens and the earth. The boundary lines are bigger than RC and Hungerford.
Yep, very, very true. Beginning, why did you go to Restoration City? And another question I have that I thought about today that I don't think I've asked a lot of people about, especially recently, being there more recently. How did you even find out about it?
Perfect that you, and it's perfect. That's the perfect follow-up question because um so in 20, like I said, the first person I named on my dedication was my best friend Darius. Um my best friend Darius, man, a great father, a great friend. You know what I mean? He ended up getting in a motorcycle accident in November of 2019. And I didn't know about it. I was Where was I at? I was driving for Lyft. I was on a Lyft call. I think I had came back home or whatever, and I got a call from my friend Aaron back home in Virginia. And man, he gave me a FaceTime call, and all I saw were tears in his eyes, and he could just say, "Man, he's gone. He's gone." I'm like, "Bro, what are you saying?" He's like, "Man, Darius is gone, bro. Darius is gone." And I was in such shock and disbelief. I couldn't even. If you knew Darius, Darius didn't drink. Darius didn't smoke. Darius didn't do any. It's literally, when people say the good die young or gone too soon, that applies for Darius.
Mm.
This is anyways. So from that phone call, it hit me so hard, but it didn't register. I was in such disbelief. Of course, like intellectually, I was like, bro, he's really gone, but I couldn't because just 6 months, actually, no, just 4 months prior, I went back home. I went back home for the first time in, I think like a few years at that point. And of course, he's the first person I saw. Like, we always kicked it together, we worked together, right? So I remember maybe a couple weeks later, I was on my route, and there was this guy. Now I was living in Sunnyside, Houston, what I'm saying? For people who don't know, that's in Houston, the south side of Houston, right? And southeast side. And there was this guy in our neighborhood that always rode on a motorcycle. And on the motorcycle, he had lights. And I was at a light and he was next to me. And when he drove past, the lights that he had on his motorcycle were green. Green is my boy Darius' favorite color. It's his favorite color in the world. And when that happened, I broke. I broke at the light. I was broken at the light. It really just registered like, whoa, like I'm never gonna see my best friend again.
Mm.
So fast forward, I was in such a deep depression. Now, mind you, where I was staying, I was in I was with this mission, like another Christian organization called Eyes on Me. They're a discipleship program, um, also in the city of Houston, but they're really about doing street witnessing and really being in the community and really just loving on people and not just loving on them, just saying, "Oh, Jesus loves you." No, we literally giving food, whatever, creating programs, different things for the youth and things. They're really great. They're really big on at-risk youth, right?
Mhm.
So we were staying in one of the mission homes. So people who want to be missionaries, right, for Christ, they had homes. So people would come out of jail, come from different, different walks of life. You know what I'm saying? But they have dedicated their life to Christ that they're just like, man, I want to go tell somebody. You know what I mean? So um, so I'm in a deep depression. Uh, Barely can get out of bed. Literally getting up and going to the bathroom and shower was a chore. You know what I'm saying? I laid in my bed so much that I had like a crater like this in the bed. So even if I slept on the edge, I would roll right back in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And then at that time, we got news that the center was actually going. The mission center was actually going to close. You know, I feel like the ministry maybe stretched themselves out too thin, you know what I'm saying, as far as providing resources and giving a lot of people a lot of forgiveness and grace, including myself. But you know what? It costs money to to run a house, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, a
it
legitimate
does. Yeah.
house, you know what I mean? So I get the heart, but logistically, just, I mean, here we are, right?
Mhm.
Um, so this was March, right? And then I said, man, I gotta see somebody. Like, I think something's extremely wrong with me. Of course, people were saying it was grief, which I obviously yes, but at the same time, I'm like, no, like I need to see somebody. You know what I'm saying about what I'm going through. So, ended up so the head of the mission house that I lived at is my boy AZ. He's a Christian rapper out of Houston. Actually, he's out of Bowling. He's from Bowling. So
Oh,
he knows RC. So he
yeah.
knows Restoration City, right? He's the one who put me on game to Restoration City. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Okay.
So he's done a lot of like in the city. He's done a lot of outreaches and stuff like that. And just, man, I love my bro AZ. But anyways, so he took me to someone to go talk to someone about, because prior to even going to Eyes on Me, I had, what I didn't understand at the time, but what a psychiatrist shared with me was a manic episode, and that I was diagnosed with bipolar 1, right? Um, so yeah, so back to, after I got a diagnosis and I was prescribed, medicine for it, it's just mood stabilizers. That's all it is. It's just, like people take antidepressants and things of that nature. It's of that line, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because for people who deal with bipolar disorder, you have extreme highs and extreme lows. So
Mm-hmm.
it's made to even level you out. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
that's basically you don't lose your intelligence or anything like that. You're not like kooky. It's just, but anywho, so but while I've gotten that diagnosis, and we were just a few weeks away to the mission house closing. So I didn't know what I was gonna do, but my bro AZ came to me. He's like, "Bro, I know this place, and I know you're going through it right now." At the time, I was also I had I had applied for truck driving, because I'm like, bro, I gotta get a job. I gotta, what I'm saying, all of a sudden, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta, all these different things. So I actually ended up getting um, got a ticket, and I got approved to go to Stevens Transport driving school up in Dallas or whatever. So I had a ticket in one hand, but I'm like, when I looked into like the different qualifications as far as requirements and how much like health wise you have to be in, at the time I had extremely high blood pressure, and that's something I was going to get you kicked out because you have to be even keel to,
Mm-hmm.
obviously drive for long hours. So I was just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So AZ told me about RC. He said, man, there's a place, man, that you can stay there, man, rent free. It's, look at it like a kind of like a Bible college. They got classes, they got, man, they got room and board. You got somewhere to go, bro. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, COVID just happened. I think the word of COVID was probably like March 26th or 7th or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
that's when it was like first like on the scene, at least airborne here. And then it's just like, man, I gotta figure out what to do. So I said, man, all right. I called my other brother, Austin. I called my brother Austin. He's another. Now me and him are both from Virginia. He's another Christian rapper as well. And I called him. I told him about this place, and he said, man, whatever decision you make, he said, choose whatever place is gonna draw you closer to Christ. You know what I'm saying? So I took that very literal. I was just like, well, you know what? This is like a Bible college. I love the Bible. I've studied a lot of apologetics. I studied a lot of different things pertaining to the Bible. So I'm like, well, shoot, you know what? This is, if we're all going to be on lockdown, this is probably the best place, to go.
Mm-hmm.
But little did I know.
Little did you know.
But that's kind of like my introduction as into how I got to RC. So I went through just like that, what I'm saying, that depressing time is what led me to it. It wasn't drugs, it
Okay.
wasn't alcohol. Of course, when you're filling out the paper, I guess that can be in the next part, I guess, on how that whole process goes.
Yeah, so you didn't really have like a life controlling problem, which this place is for that, for drug use and alcoholism and all that kind of stuff. So you went pretty much for depression.
Yeah.
What it sounds like.
Yeah.
Were you paying anything whenever you went in?
No,
As
I
in
didn't have
like,
money to give.
okay, as in like
Yeah.
usually when you go to this place, they require like a monthly payment and stuff. Do you
Right.
know if there was any like sponsorship going on?
I didn't know anything, at least on my end at the
Okay.
time, if I had sponsorship, but I think, I guess my kind of sponsorship in was because I was tied in with Eyes on Me, which does
Okay.
work with RC. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
they're kind of like,
Okay.
I look at them as like kind of like the pipeline to RC. Like,
Okay.
yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, you get there and everything, you're going through the program part. Do you remember how long it was for you? The actual
Uh,
program itself?
oh yeah. So the program for me, I was actually on track, right? Because I mean, when it comes to the curriculum and stuff like that, like me and my family, we're very intelligent. Like I'm not saying that to be boastful or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? But that's just what it is. And a lot of the course is basics of, Christianity. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, I've been in church literally my whole life.
Like I
And I've
already know
been
this.
Yeah, like I didn't come there coming to find it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I was trying to figure, I needed answers as to what I was going through. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah.
Can I ask this? If this is, I don't know if this is your during that time, I know like you can't really be taking a lot of medications and stuff. Were you allowed to take yours?
Yeah, so no. That was
You were
before,
not allowed
before
to.
you no, not at all, because the first thing, okay, so before you even the first step to show that you're truly dedicated, that you want to turn your life around, that you want to dedicate it, to the Lord. One of the first things that you have to go through an application process. You have to fill out just some amazing things. Like you got to put what are some things that you're addicted to, right? How many times have you like do you masturbate or something? Like I
They
remember it
asked
was,
that on a
yeah,
questionnaire.
I believe so
Uh, is that
because they
okay?
asked
Wait, what?
because that's a part of an addiction, right?
Wait, do they like
So
do that? Oh my
I look,
God.
listen.
Is that normally done
That's
in
from
like
my memory. That I don't know. I don't know HIPAA laws, but
holy
uh,
shit?
but that's just random as hell. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. I
that's.
don't, what is
But
that?
either way, but at that moment, right? You're you're doing whatever. Like you may see that, and you're like, okay, you're gonna put down whatever it is, right? Because
Sorry,
right, so
like
that's the thing.
what?
Exactly. So you do the application. I
Yeah,
wish I
yeah,
remembered all of the applications. I remember it's just wild. Like literally, you're telling your host anything about you, they got it.
yeah.
That's that's it. So they want to get to know you and all this other stuff. Then you have a phone conversation with uh not gonna what's their last name. But anyways,
Mm-hmm.
uh so she will call you and say, "Hey, is this so and so? I got your application, blah blah blah." You're going through it, and she's just going through little questions and stuff like that. And she was like, "Hey, I noticed that you take medication. Is it a psychosis or anything type of medication like that?" I was like, "Yeah, I was just prescribed about like 3 weeks ago. I mean, I don't know if it's working or anything, but this is just what I got." You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And she was like, "Well, in order to come into the program, we don't accept people who have uh, who take not accept people, but if in order for you to come into the program, you have to not you have to pretty much give up your medicine
Mm-hmm.
because they believe that the power of the Holy Spirit is strong enough to cure any disease,
Mm-hmm.
right?" Which I agree, which anyone who's a believer is like, oh, oh yeah, but at the same time, I didn't truly understand because I've only been on this thing 3 weeks. I don't know anything about this. Now, mind you, I have a mother who's schizophrenic, right?
Mm.
And that's the extreme step. And I know what mental health looks like. I know I see it. I live with it. And I live, what I'm saying? I have a mother, you know what I'm saying? But anywho, uh yeah, so that's one of the things. You're not allowed to have any type of medication because when you first get there, your bags are checked. I mean, through and through. I don't know if I'm going too far ahead, but that's literally a
No,
trait.
I mean, I was like, I was interested in if you were allowed to take medications that were prescribed for you,
No,
which
unless
is
it's like,
crazy to me because they don't
yeah,
have, did they know you were diagnosed bipolar?
and that's one of the things you put
So,
any type of medical history on there.
yeah.
And they have, you know how like when you write down uh any type of form, it has like the boxes and it'll say like check which ones that apply to you.
Hmm.
So that's one of the things on there, I believe. Like, I mean, it was what, how long ago? 2020 when I filled it out. So I don't really know every exact thing, but those were different things that I was like, okay, that's kind of different, but I'm trying to get help.
It's just crazy to me that somebody that is diagnosed bipolar 3 weeks before going here, you can't be on your
Mhm.
medications, and they don't have any registered doctors, nurses, counselors, anything that is people that have a doctor's degree on there on campus to, I mean, what if you had a nervous breakdown there? What if you went through a manic episode? What if
So
you, like, to me it's like, what? There are so many things that could go wrong, like, and you're off
uh,
medication and stuff. I don't know what you're
they,
currently doing now, but to
it's
me that is just
yeah,
nuts.
it's insane. Like it's because, and I realized this too, when people are insulated in just one space, and this is what, and I'm not gonna say it, I'm gonna say, what's her last name? One of the elders, right? One of the elders was in charge of, say, if you had a doctor's appointment or something like that. This is how weird it goes. People are so consumed in this small world of RC. Yes, you live in the world, but your whole existence is around this place. The whole world is is here,
Mm-hmm.
but your brain is focused on this place. So
Mm-hmm.
when we go out to different places, you can tell who hasn't been in the world in a long time and how they react with people. They speak to people as if they know what the center is. The center.
You're referring to people that have been at the center for like a long time.
Yes,
When
yeah,
they
the
go out
elders
and
of
speak
the
to
place.
people, it's like they're so yeah.
Bruh,
Okay, yeah.
it's like, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I bet.
But we can go, but yeah,
So,
but yeah,
okay.
that was my
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
introduction.
I did want to know that about the medication, which is funny to me that
Yeah,
DK has been using pills on and off his whole life, but someone who was diagnosed bipolar can't take his medication. Um,
but you know,
so
he's got it all together.
yeah, right. So you're going through the rehab and everything. Do you want to explain kind of like what some of the classes were like? Were there
I can tell
actual
you,
Was it like an actual curriculum, or were they still
yeah,
using Bill Gothard stuff?
yeah. So that's the meat and potatoes of everything. The basis of everything is Bill Gothard.
What I just want to read this real quick for those of you. So
Yeah.
they're still using Bill Gothard stuff for classes, and what this is affiliated with is something called Basic Life Principles. Um, sorry, I'm just gonna um
Hmm.
so actually Shiny Happy People is a
Yeah.
documentary on Amazon, I believe. And they it's mostly about the Duggars and about that
Yep.
they were a reality show back I don't remember when 20 whatever.
Hmm.
And but I was very surprised halfway through to
Listen,
see old Billy G was in
ain't that
there.
crazy? I
And
swear,
I was very surprised. I had no idea that anybody else knew about Bill
insane,
Gothard but us, because
insane.
I had no idea. So he's in half of this, but real quick, I just kind of want to explain what
Please let them know.
yeah, so this is oh Billy G, oh Bill. And he's
There
like
he is,
this
man.
short man,
The
okay?
short man.
Bill
Chalk talk.
Gothard,
Hey, those chalk talks though.
yeah, oh yeah.
Fire.
He's an American Christian minister, speaker, and writer, and the founder of the Institute and Basic Life Principles, IBLP, which that's what I'm referring to. A lot of the classes in fundamentalism
Yep.
of
Yep.
were
Fundamentalism.
the teachings that the center would use through the program and stuff, people going through the rehab. So his conservative teachings encourage Bible memorization, large families,
Mm-hmm.
homeschooling, which we did,
Quiverful.
aversion to
Quiverful.
debt, family patriarchy, the submission
Mm-hmm.
of wives to husbands, and modest attire.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so which that's
That book
funny to
was
me
wild.
because in 2014, he stepped down from IBLP after 34 women accused him of sexual harassment and
Right.
molestation, with some incidents allegedly occurring when the victims were minors. In 2016, Gothard and IBLP were sued by a group of alleged victims. The lawsuit was dismissed in 2018 as the statute of limitation had been exceeded. That freaking statute of limitation, man. So yeah, I've listened to some podcasts where I've heard these women
Mm-hmm.
talk about these harassments, and he had like, this is really gross, but he had like this foot fetish
Yeah.
with young girls, and the
Yep.
stories are just crazy. So every summer we would have to go to this seminar that was 5 days, where it was recordings of
Oh
Bill
my God.
Gothard
Oh
teaching every
God.
day. And then at the last day, old Billy G would come out. It would actually be him live
Standing ovation and
doing
everyone's
talk chalk or chalk talk.
talk. Oh my God.
Yeah. And
Hey,
so,
that was the best part. That was like a treat. Like to get to that part after the monotone. Oh my
mm,
God. Like you
yeah,
just sit here and you listen to him. You're like, bro, has this like you listen to what he's saying and like his beliefs? You're like when I listen to like the different stories that he would tell about none of it I believed any of it. Like this
mm-hmm,
sounded no, like yes, someone probably gave you a free car because they worshipped you. They idolize you. You made it. People dedicated their lives to Bill Gothard.
yeah.
To
So
Bill
what's
Gothard,
funny
not
is,
to Jesus. Right?
yeah, what's funny is this guy like taught all these principles, but he never married.
Never.
He didn't have children, to my knowledge, but yet he's teaching all of these things, and it's like, what the?
Isn't
Why are
it
we listening
crazy?
to this person?
Isn't it crazy that there's always this common theme in people who are extreme in whatever thing, right? It seems like there's always this common theme when there's a leader of some sort, um, that when they're extreme and they're don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, they always struggle with some type of sexual perversion.
Yeah,
There's
there's always
always
some
this,
kind
it's
of
always this
weird,
fascination
yeah.
because what they're doing is, you want to know why? I've always been a guy who's been about the brain, the why people do things, because I think the why is important. For some reason, people they see the result of things, and that's just a symptom of a root issue. Now you hear that a lot woven in through the
Mm-hmm.
program as well, but just scientifically, that's true, right? So people see someone doing something and they just this is who you are because that's all that I can see, but you didn't see the beginning that led them to that. Like
Yeah,
for example, most people who are abusers were abused.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So or people who were predators were prey at one point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you know what I'm saying? It's a learned behavior that over time, if not quenched, or if not talked about, if not given tools on how to, work through this thing that I'm working through, and you just go on through life putting on a mask, you never address the real issue. So what you do is you police everyone around you and say, this is how you should act, this is how you should act. But a lot of times you're projecting what's inside of you. So the rules that you're putting in place are rules that you can't follow, but you want everyone to follow. And then you create this wall. You create this wall to where no one ever can see what you do because they're so focused trying to live up to you. They're so focused on trying to be perfect because of these rules that you created. So they're so consumed in that that we never get down to what's your story?
Yeah,
What's your
and that's
story? And
exactly what,
I said that how Restoration City is.
yeah, that's exactly what leadership does there. So they're teaching these they're still I
Yeah.
cannot believe they are still teaching this kind of stuff.
Can you
And
tell
I
them
would,
that the last revision was like in 1990 of the book? So there's so many, it's so dated. It's
yeah.
so dated. It's so dated. But we don't even have to dig
Who
into
was
that.
like and there's people that are supposed to be teaching. Do you recall who was teaching? You don't have to say the name, but like,
Yeah, it's always elders and leadership. And
and
it's
they are
not even
people that
teaching.
don't, and they are people that don't have degrees,
No.
that don't have any
Simpletons.
doctoral, like,
Simpletons.
huh?
Simpletons.
Yeah.
People who literally
So
have gone through the program when they were teenagers, have zero life experience prior to that, but yet want to tell everyone who's actually, you know where the confusion is because most of the leaders have gone through there when it was Teen Challenge. It
mhm,
was Teen Challenge when they went through there. And then, so you're trying to use a curriculum that was for teenagers
mhm,
and children and try to apply the very same thing to adults who've experienced lives, who have done things and everything like that. That's a disconnect right there within itself. And I just found it amazing that I look at the leader of this place and I realized the curriculum is a combination of David Wilkerson, Teen
mhm,
Challenge,
mhm,
IBF. It's a piece of this, a piece of this, a piece of that, a piece of this, a piece of that, all combined together. So there's always going to be confusion because these are all different men in their interpretation of the word, and you're
mm,
getting pulled in different directions.
mm.
You see what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
you have a leader who I believe is constantly trying to uh, either fill the shoes of his father or try to,
Mm,
um, he seems like someone who's constantly trying to chase after being important or trying to prove himself or overcompensate for the fact, that he's actually a very insecure man.
hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying? And who has
mhm.
daddy issues. And
Yeah,
then that just trickles down.
that's very well put, and probably the case. I mean, Jesus.
Mm.
So I still can't believe that they're still, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just like, how
Still,
can they still
man,
be using this curriculum and stuff? Well, I
it's
mean, it's not
insane.
even really a curriculum, like you said. They're taking like just bits and pieces, just like they do with the Bible, take bits and pieces from the
Right,
Bible to their own
right.
narrative. So yeah, you're going through this program and everything. When did you start to see red flags? Was it throughout the program or when you got
Um, I'll
out?
say, I'll say day one. So the first thing I got there during a time where they were actually having a work crew.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much a work crew is everybody involved to do some type of job or task on the campus. You know what I'm saying? And when I got there, they were knocking down an old trailer. So we're doing manual labor, which that's not an issue for me. But at the same time, you know, right after having your introduction in the meeting, you you say goodbye to your people who dropped you off. They're excited for this. You take a picture and everything like that, and then it's like, all right, so time to get to work.
Mm. So
Like,
they just put you to work right away.
yeah, because because when you first get there, you then are taken into uh your first ever meeting, like your first ever what do we call it when your first counseling session, basically. Your first counseling session is in there. You're with I had three elders in there, and they're going over your application and they're listening to your story. For some people, that can be intimidating. First off, there's three people I don't know. I don't know you guys,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sitting here telling you my story, and you guys are just staring. like just staring at this helpless, whatever it is. It's just,
Mhm.
I look at it like a form of intimidation, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as like, oh, I'm just here with three witnesses and we can, I think it's just a part of intimidation
Yeah.
factor. Um, but anyways, you tell them your story, and then before you continue on the program, you're to dedicate your life to Christ. Now, I already had a relationship with Christ, but I feel like the way they look at people, if you come here, you didn't have a relationship with Christ. Because if you did, why would he bring you here?
Mhm.
That's like the mindset. It's just like from the beginning, your life prior to that place was all a sham.
Mhm.
Because if you had it all together, you wouldn't be here.
Mhm.
So we're here to fix you. And what they called it was, hey, we're not gonna lie, this is a spiritual boot camp. That's the to kind of take the ease off the extreme, you hear spiritual boot camp, you're like, okay, all right, okay, it's spiritual boot camp, cool.
Mhm.
All right, I gotta do what I gotta do to earn my stripes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, I'll do whatever. It's like, okay, all right, spiritual boot camp. All right. And little did you know it's a boot camp.
Were
And
you
it's
doing
not
a were you doing a lot of manual labor and stuff? Like it's like
all
the
day,
like the
all day.
mowing of the grass that was
Dude,
for acres
people
on
don't
end.
know how many acres do we have? 12? Was it like 12 acres of land? And we're called students. When you're in the program, you're a student. And we as students, I'm telling you, there is no staff member that lifts a finger. There's not a staff member that lifts a finger when it comes to anything like that.
Hmm.
There is not a staff member. So you are responsible for the upkeep of everything that's collecting garbage from each person's house, right? Each person's house. Now, mind you, we used to have a truck. We used to have a truck that we would go and take to go to each house. But one of the students who turned staff member, Mr. Know-it-all, uh, he was he was driving. We had where you guys had that it pretty much turned into a landfill at this point, but over against like behind the
Where the dumpster was or where the
yeah, where the dumpster was, that area.
like the
And
catfish
there's like
pond?
this big catfish pond.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it was, the catfish pond. So we were taking, like, after we would mow all this grass, we would take the piles that we had raked up and we would take it over there. It was pretty much a dump. It was a dump.
So they were
But
putting trash in the catfish pond?
the trash wasn't like, not trash was in there, but we were taking like trash. We had a dumpster. We were taking the trash to the dumpster. But I'm saying, as far as the truck that we used, one of the geniuses, he ended up backing it up, and like he went too far back and kind of rolling back into the pond itself. So as he's revving up to go get out, he's generating fire, and it's just dry hay. We had a whole fire.
Oh my
So he
God.
burned the truck. He burned the
Oh
truck
my
up.
God.
The field was but guess what? It doesn't stop. So what we do? So now we have to walk. We have to push a giant bin and go to each person's house on the acres, collect their trash from there, from the kitchen, from everywhere, push it everywhere.
How many were there of y'all? How many students were there that were working?
The most, I'll say, the most that was there was when I first got there, and this is not including, um, the mothers and children. Just the men alone. I think it was one, two, three, four. One guy was paralyzed. Shout out to Donnie. Shout out to Key. Uh, Don. So we probably had, like, at that time, the most we had was maybe like eight. Eight.
Okay.
But that didn't last long. I mean, I'll say the least that we had were staff members and like one student.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like,
It
you know.
it definitely has dwindled down throughout the years. Yeah, so you were you going through the program for about a year, was it? Or
Yeah, so it's a year.
okay.
And there's three phases in the program. So you have your basic, so your basic life, well, your basics, which is the scripture memorization. You go to class, um, you memorize scripture, you go through lesson plans, whatever lesson plan they're teaching out of. I wasn't too sure what the curriculum was. I was teaching, I think I taught maybe uh, twice as far as teaching the class later on as I became a member, but a staff member. But it goes from basic and you go to advanced. Now the advanced is where you're taking classes, which are kind of like they were definitely a little more advanced, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's not that crazy. And then the third part is called the reentry phase. Reentry is re-entering back into the world or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, because you're taken away from we're in Hungerford, Texas. If you just type in your phone, you type in Hungerford, Texas, and you look on the map and see where that is. You see where that is, you realize there is nothing near you for miles. Sure, there's a small town that's just 2 miles up the road, but it's a small town.
Mhm.
There's nothing there, literally. Houston is how many? What is it, like 45 minutes on a good day?
On a good day. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To get there, and you now, mind you, when you're in the program, you relinquish your rights. You relinquish your rights, right? Your human rights or whatever rights there is. Your right to have a car, your right to have a phone, your right to
Did you
have
sign all don't you have to sign all this
yeah,
away?
yeah.
Crazy.
So the beginning thing, so you don't have your phone, you don't have you don't have a phone. If you have a car, it can be on the lot, but you won't have your keys. So it's kind of pointless to even have your car there. Um, mm, what else? I think as far as that, and then any medication, like we go through, I'll say we because I was a staff member at one point, but to go through all of your bags to see if there's any paraphernalia, any drugs, anything. We're talking about everything. Everything's taken out, folded clothes, check everything. So it's pretty much, and I don't like this. I don't like this because there are a lot of programs that are like this that they go and which is a good thing, they minister to people at prisons and then they offer them a way out. But what they do is they create a pseudo prison. It's like you have maybe a little bit more freedoms than if you were in prison, but it's like now you're in a prison without bars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or like the saying, gold plated handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, it's nice and shiny. You think it's all beautiful, but at the end of the day, there's still shackles.
Mm-hmm.
It might be pretty and nice, but it's still shackles.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I thought was a red flag was that, okay, we have this group of people who talk about how great this place was and how great this place is and all the families and stuff will come through there. And I always thought was, where are y'all children? Why don't your children ever come visit? Why do you guys have all these children and they're always on the outs with y'all?
Are you
Why is
referring
it
to the
elders?
adults there that had
Yeah,
been living there for a while?
yeah. And I
Okay.
always thought it was strange. I was just like, why are y'all children not here? Or why does everyone have this strange relationships with their children?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are, this is a Bible believing place. Why that speaks on family and all this other stuff. But why does everyone have, it seems like everyone who has a quiver full, and for those who don't know, and that's a whole nother cult or uh, cult like belief that they took the scripture in Psalm that spoke about having a quiver full, and uh, they believe that Christian families are to have an abundance of pretty much abundance of children so that they can lead like the next generation, to pretty much save the world. So it's like this having a whole bunch and teaching them within this cult. and so they can keep pushing on this belief system for generations to come, because they believe that they're God's special people. They're God's chosen people. Like, when you're in the program, you're constantly being told that you're living your best life now. You're living your best life now. Being reminded of, look how far God has brought you. Look how God has brought. Look, He's brought you to a place. He's brought you to this place where, oh my God, you have food, you have a place, you don't have to worry about bills. Like, you're constantly being reminded you're living your best life now. You're living your best life now. Now, to put it in perspective, our experience is a lot different from the generations before, because now we're there during the pandemic lockdown. You can't even go anywhere. You can't even have family come visit. So it's not even like a thing anyways,
Yeah,
to have
yeah.
your family come, you know, so this was prime picking for
This is
a place like,
prime being trapped somewhere. Um, so you are going through the program, you get out,
mhm,
graduate, and then you decide to get on staff. Was
mhm.
that something that you wanted to do, or felt like more out of obligation?
No. So what happens is, um, for many who don't know, going through the program, you're you have a you have a mentor, which is someone in eldership who mentors you throughout your whole time as a student. When you first get there, your first 2 weeks, you're being pretty much chaperoned by a big brother, so someone who's been in the program for some time, and
Mhm.
they're helping you get adjusted to the wildness, right? Because it's an extreme. So one of the things when you first go in there, they'll tell you this. So this is going to be extremely familiar for anyone who's ever been through the program. This piece of paper,
Oh,
when you were out in the world, you lived a life very extreme. So you were bent this way. Here at RC, what we do, bend you back this way, show you the way to go in Christ, and then you straighten back out.
yeah. Only they can
That's
make
Bill
you straighten
Gotham.
back
Yeah,
out, man.
only they can do that, because
Only they
now,
have that
mind you,
ability.
there's, like we address, no one's a trained to it. Everyone who's a staff member are former people who've gone through the program.
Yeah, yeah.
So the whole time you're there, you're being groomed. You're just being groomed. You're being groomed into basically becoming another version of whoever your mentor is, honestly.
Mhm.
And your mentor is being mentored by DK.
Mm.
So as a student, the red flags, the first one was the first church service. That's everyone's like wildest thing, is when you actually go to a service.
I bet.
I can tell you this, and I'm about to give a great. Okay. I'm gonna do something that I have yet to see on one of your episodes, and I'm going to reenact what a church service looked like, because from the first church service you ever attend to the 52nd or 53rd Sunday service you ever attend, it's going to look like this. You're going to see you're going to see DK's youngest son here. You're going to see DK's next in line here. Name rhymes with Skeet right here. And you're going to see them doing this, jumping up and down, music's playing. This is this. It's this particular jump that they do. It's where they'll stand like this, and then Skeet will be this guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know who
yeah,
that is. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then the daughter of DK. Yes, yes. God, we praise you. It's the same. It's the same. And then there's someone. Um, so that's not crazy, because I grew up I've been to different churches. I've been to black churches. I've seen people being filled and really having real, I've seen that. But it's like clockwork, the same every single Sunday. And then this was another flag from that service. Well, before the service even began, we had Sunday school. And ironically, guess what the Sunday school was about? We had a video by a lady named Dr. Caroline Leaf, who speaks on, uh, pretty much, uh, she had a title of the book, pretty much like you can rewire your brain. Like basically just pretty much just saying like a lot of what you're going through or the mental things that the psychiatrists and stuff like that, they put labels to things uh like bipolar or whatever your what just mental illness in general, basically not being like kind of being a myth in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how true or how not true it is, but I know what my experience is. It's just always funny when people who've never experienced whatever she's talking about is experiencing those things. But anyways, but it's just ironic that that was the first Sunday school thing was
Mm-hmm.
not a was something about mental health and
Yeah.
mental disorders, you know. And then the third red flag from that same service was the good old song of the Lord.
Uh,
That's where things changed, took a turn.
Song of the Lord.
So what people don't know, so like any church, there's a stage, you got people performing on the stage, but that's different from any church I've ever been to. There are microphones, one, two, and three, set up at the bottom of the stage for people to come up and give. Maybe it's a word that the Lord gave them. Maybe it's a song of the Lord. He may put some on your spirit, and we'll have a moment in the band where it's open for everybody to come on up, give.
Were you just like, I mean, they've been doing that for 30, 40 years. Were you just like, where the hell am
The
I?
hell am I? I'm literally looking around like what the fuck is going on here? Like
Yeah.
literally, like what is happening? What is, I'm just seeing such great, like I'm sitting here, but everyone there has already been indoctrinated.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone already, this is normal to them. When you've been in a place for so much time, it's just like anyone who's been in prison. I haven't been in prison, but I watched a lot of, again, I'm very, when it comes to the why, I'm always trying to figure out different things. But, anyways,
Yeah.
but people who come out of prison are institutionalized. You're in a whole world that's far different from the real world in which everyone else exists.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're separated from that, after a while, once the shock is gone, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you get a brand new car. Once you've had it for a while, that smell is gone. The luster is gone. It's just a car at the end of the day. So those were I'll say the first, and that's day two. That's
Mm-hmm.
day two. The thing that's the theme of, as a student, as a staff member, the theme of that place is spiritual authority. Authority, 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 authority,
Mm-hmm.
authority. That is thrown in your head. It's authority. So you're constantly not trying to buck the system, not trying to, what I'm saying, you want to, you're told that you're to give double honor. And this is the thing, give double honor to those who are
Mm.
in charge of you. And what I realized that double honor pretty much means you don't question any decision, anything that they say or do, regardless if it goes against the rule book, regardless if it goes against what the Bible says, regardless if it goes against just basic human rights. It's something about that family that is very intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
They're intrusive into, there's no such thing as privacy. Like they're the most intrusive people I've ever been
Yeah.
around in my life. And it's crazy because it's like, bro, I don't know you.
Mm.
Like I don't know you. Why are you, what I'm saying? Like that's one of the tools for anybody who's being abused or spiritually, emotionally, physically. A lot of the first things that happen is you get love bombed. You're you're loved on. We're loving on you. It's just like, man, you want to feel important. You're part of a community. God has brought you here. You're no longer alone. doing this
Mhm.
walk alone. God has brought you to a place to where you have a new family, you have a spiritual family, you have a spirit.
Yeah.
So,
So,
and one of the rules, that's something that people don't know. One of the rules is that when you sign up to be a part of this program, that means you don't go home for holidays. Uh, all your holidays, you're surrendering going for Christmas, any time, especially if it's not in the reentry part of the program, you are not leaving.
mhm.
So if your parents want to come, they can come to and that's as a student. I'll say as a student,
Mhm.
your parents or friends and family would have to come to the center to enjoy Thanksgiving with everybody. You can't leave and go Thanksgiving and then come back, right? At least when you're in the first two phases of the program. But when you're in the third phase, you'll I forgot how it worked as far as when you do your off-campus visits. So now you're able to go off campus to visit your family, but you can only go off campus accompanied by your big brother or mentor.
Mhm.
So imagine your family hasn't seen you in 9, 10 months, and they're excited to see you. They have a party, and oh, by the way, I'm bringing a friend. They don't know this guy. He's part of the program, and he's there to mentor every conversation you have, every decision making you make. It's even when your people come and visit you on campus. You'll be with your parents, but you'll have a staff member literally sitting there like DM, the weirdest, creepiest dude on the planet. DM, he he that dude will literally sit. This guy has zero shame.
What red flags were you noticing um throughout being on staff?
I think one of the first ones was well, ironically, when I became staff member, um, one part of the program. Now, I was a dorm supervisor as a student, and then as a leader. Um, and one of the things in the last part of the program, they have reentry dorms that we didn't have at the time. Everyone else was able to go to a reentry dorm, but I
Mhm.
had to stay in the dorm with the students,
Mhm.
which you're already used to it by that point, so you're not tripping. And they deduct how much, you're not too tripping, but at the same time, it's like, bro, everybody else can either have a family dorm with their family, or you got two people who have graduated and they have a dorm, but why do I have to stay? And it's not like I'm miles away, I'm a door down.
Mhm.
I'm 2 doors down. I didn't understand. Right. So, um, but one of the flags were, uh, you know, now that you're a staff member, every Monday you have these staff meetings. And like, my God, if you thought being a student was horrible, it's like the saying, it's like, man, you may not want to eat that hot dog if you knew how it was made. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
now as a staff member, now you're hearing how we speak about the students and what they're going through. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not saying anything per se like destroying their character or whatever the case may be, but you're just seeing the mental how they go about some of the decisions. But you also realize as a staff member, everyone's not on the same page as far as there's an agenda within everyone as a staff, and then there's the eldership group. So regardless of whatever you talk about at the staff meeting, it still has to be funneled through eldership. So
Eldership. Yeah.
regardless of whatever we talk about, discuss. Now, the daughter, she's just super rebellious. Like it's like nothing ever applied to
Are you
her. Any
talking
rule that's
about,
ever was in place,
sorry, were you
the
referring
daughter of
to the second
to
oldest
the
daughter?
second oldest, yes.
Okay. That's funny.
Like for example, like I remember a quick aside back to this is one of the last two stories, and I'll make it quick. So one of the stories was as a student, I remember she was teaching one of our advanced classes. It was me and my brother Aaron. We were both in there. And this chick, comes in every single day. Now, mind you, she teaches exercising classes and stuff like that. So she's always in yoga outfits. Now, ironically, she also wears, I at first I well, she always wears a ponytail like it's like the 80s, like a straight back ponytail. Like she's stuck in that time. And then she would wear, now she would be respectful, she'll wear a hoodie, but unfortunately, she has to wear the zipper here so
Mm-hmm.
that she can show off her boobs. And I
Cleavage.
remember,
Yeah.
yeah, her cleavage. And I remember this is my first time ever going to someone about like going to eldership about something about some like actually having a concern about
Mm-hmm.
something. So I had a meeting with Pete and I told him, I said, bro, like, I come here like, man, my history, like I've been like women has always been my thing. Like I've been around women and stuff like that. And you guys are pretty much, oh, people don't know this when you're in the program. There's men. It's a program that takes in all families. It's not just all men, all women. All of us are mixed in, but
Mm-hmm.
we live life together. But men aren't to speak to the women. So imagine you're doing tasks, you're doing different things in the same areas, but you're not allowed to speak to them. You're not allowed to have any type of conversations outside of pass the butter. That's in the rule book, what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. Like you're to have no conversations with the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird. Um, but anyways, I was telling him about that, and he's listening, and he's listening. And I told him, I said, yeah, man, I just feel like it's kind of crazy that, there's all these rules as far as like dress code and stuff that we all follow that help prevent any type of, what I'm saying, but anyone knows, even if you were blind, you would have lustful thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of it. But to go along with the game, if we're all in this game together and there's rules in place, why are these rules only applied for us and not them? Aren't we the people that we're all doing this for? The students?
Mm-hmm.
And to help them. But if I'm saying that, so he goes and he says, well, I was listening to you, and like, if you just listen to what you're saying, like, you know, it was really like pretty much he spent it on it's a me problem and not a her. Like it's something in your
Yeah.
heart because
Mm-hmm.
what's in your heart, what's in your heart, the mouth speaks. So really, what you have to do is really get all that stuff out of your heart. It's not her, she's not the issue, it's you. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that was the first one. And then
But yet she's
later on,
sitting there leading classes with
leading
her.
classes, her boob job and all
Oh
that
my
sort of stuff.
gosh,
You know what I'm
Lordy.
saying? And then and then in the last part, I'll say this, and this is the last about the students. The last red flag, um, huge red flag was we, you can like, they have this fascination because they were so stuck and they realized they were so stuck in the past that they have this fascination of always trying to take something from a church or something that we visit or someone who's doing something great, quote unquote, great as in like grandiose. Like at the time, Maverick City, huge Maverick City during COVID, man, that helped out so many people, man. They got famous during a beautiful time. Uh, and they had like the style of worship where pretty much there was no stage. Everyone's all in a circle
Oh
doing
yeah. Mm-hmm.
everything. And they want to copy, she wants to copy everything because they don't have a true identity.
Hmm.
They don't have a true identity there. They steal everything from everybody, their spiritual experiences, their things, and whatever the case may be. So, one of the things she went to a seminar, which was ironically with the leaders, Eyes on Me, the ministry I was part of before, and they
Mm-hmm.
have this tool that they use, a quick, it's called the three circles. The three circles method is how some people have tracks that talks about the gospel. It's pretty much a gospel illustration, real quick, that you could do for somebody in 3 minutes that explains, the gospel
Mm-hmm.
real quick. You know what I'm saying? So she's teaching the class, And of course, I've been through that. I went through the whole pro. I went through their whole curriculum. I know we do 3 circles all the time. So I volunteered to, because she demonstrated how it went, and then she asked volunteers. I volunteered. I did it, went through the whole thing and everything like that. While I'm in the middle of what I'm doing, she walks up and snatches the chalk out of my hand. Oh no, you actually, you forgot this part. Like, and it was not even a part that's even like related to the whole 3 circles method. It's just like, is it because people actually like they get it because I said it? Like you didn't get a standing ovation? Like, because that family seems to need validation from everyone. They need when they say something like, or if they don't, they say, man, so are we the only, like, for example, like Song of the Lord, where everything's going on, they'll keep it going until pretty much everyone goes up there. By that time, you're sitting there just trying to come up with something because by
I
that
can't
time,
believe they're
you're
still
gonna be
doing
in
that.
service. You're gonna be in service for 6 hours.
Dude, I can't believe they're still doing that. You know how much anxiety that caused me during those services? So much anxiety. I would be sweating my ass off, like scared shitless.
You're constantly thinking. You're
You're
constantly
constantly in
feeling
your
like you're
head
not.
instead of
You're
like
not
trying to
spiritual
worship
enough.
God.
You're
You're
like,
like,
"Oh,
yeah,
you're not spiritual enough," because it's like, I want to be able to have, you know. Anyways, so
yeah.
that's the end. I'll just say that she snatched it out of my hand. I was just like, bro, like I was remember looking around like, is no one else seeing this?
Mm.
Like I'm literally I'm literally just like I sat back and I sat next to Skeet like, dog, right? Did no one just see this? He's like, that's what he like. But anyway, so we'll go back to the stat. I had to get that last red flag out. There's plenty, but I feel like we could be here all day talking about that.
So what
Mhm.
was you left 2 years ago, right?
Mhm.
It's about 2 years ago. So what
Mhm.
started the phase of you
The
going,
phase.
I've got to exit here?
Okay, so for me, well, when we started, as a student, actually, as a student, the last tail end of the student, I was, because I'm coming in there, I'm actually, like I said, I've shared with you before, like prior to coming there, I actually had a life, successful clothing brand, you know, tours. I'm with people who are actually famous in some regards, like literally have connections and things like that. So I've like my clothing brand was a Christian based clothing brand, you know what I'm saying? And so I've had so many experiences. So I remember going into a meeting one day and I saw a box with some shirts in it. I said, bro, oh man, you guys know, remember I designed stuff and everything. Now by this time I have my phone, so I'm able to show Skeet like my work. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Because he quote unquote had a brand, but his brand was trash. Nobody's buying that. Nothing like his brand was really for him. Like
Mhm.
that's what his brand is, right? No one's buying what you're selling, bro. It's whack, right? So I'm actually showing him designs. I'm showing him different trade shows I've been to, flying here, flying there, showing him, even just my graphs of like just seeing how much money I made. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Just like, so he's seeing like, hmm. I said, man, we got enough space. I gave him the idea. I said, man, you got enough space. I said, man, we should have a screen printing shop, right? Screen print.
Mhm.
So he's like, that's a great idea. So they prayed on it, whatever the case may be. Then it was up to me to start looking into, are there people out there, excuse me, are there people out there selling used things, used screen printer stuff? Now, mind you, I'm on Google. Uh, there's hundreds in just Houston alone of just screen printing, screen printing, screen printing. So I went through up to about the third page, calling every number on there, asking them if they have any used screen printing things, how much that's whatever, whatever. Finally came across this guy, one of the work crews. He said, man, and it's crazy that you asked. I've been in the business for 20 some years. I have a second business that's very much booming, and I just honestly my stuff is just collecting dust. So yeah, I'll be willing to sell up my whole setup. And he said, I said, how much? He said 5,000. A whole setup, everything that he had was worth 20K easily.
Mhm.
So this was a blessing. So I told him, I said, hey, Skeet, we got, hey, this guy, man, 5 grand, right? And then I headed, so we got one of the work crews was going to his house, getting a U-Haul and loading it up and bringing it back to the center. And so I was ahead of that. So basically, I had a job in a sense going into as a staff member. So that kind of played into it where it's just like, well, you know what? I'm leading up something. This is something that I love doing, love
Mm.
teaching. I mean, like, you know what? That kind of led to kind of, and then of course throughout the time, people were telling you how good you, because man, I made, I think the lowest grade I've ever got on something was maybe like 87. I think I've got hundreds on almost everything. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to the classes and stuff like that in the program. So, I was constantly being told that, man, you're just like, man, you're like the model student, right? You're like the guy that we look up to. And then, I have a very infectious uh personality. Like the youth really cling to me, and things like that. And and I'll get more further into that as I tell the staff story. But the I just wanted to give like the how I even got to the point where I went from, man, I graduate, I'm gonna get back to doing what I'm doing, to, you know what, this really isn't too bad. You know what I'm saying? Let me just stick around. I mean, everything's paid for, blah
Mm.
blah blah. And you know what? All right, you're now at this point, you're already used to it.
Yeah.
And then while you're in there, you're also being told, your spiritual family in a sense is more important than your actual family,
Yeah.
because they'll go to scriptures that talks about how God came to separate sons from the
Or like
fathers and
like
whatever
the
it
wheat
is.
from the
Yeah.
chaff or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Just like the verse that speaks on, like, whatever the case may be, but just putting emphasis on your spiritual family that God has brought you to, basically, in a sense, is now by that time you're already indoctrinated. You've gone through a whole year
You've already gone.
of being stripped. You in the whole time you're thinking you haven't drank the Kool-Aid. You don't think you drank the Kool-Aid, but you drank the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? Uh so uh so yeah, so the red flags, uh now mind you, people, it's still COVID. Now um now at this time we're going out into Hungerford and we're doing food drives every week. You know what I'm saying? JJ Watts Foundation and stuff like that sent, 18 wheelers full of stuff, and we were just passing out to the city. You know what I'm saying? So this is bringing a lot of notoriety to Restoration City. It's just like,
Hmm.
oh man, we're joined with what's the oh man, shout out to the Law Dog. He took over. Now in the city of Hungerford, there's this other like at-risk youth like program that they have in the city. Man, I know the organization, but like everyone's kids go there, and we did a lot of work with them. Oh man, I
Hmm.
can't think of the organization, but we're hand in hand. The leader of the organization, I love you, bro. I love you, Law Dog. But so because prior to me coming there, I think the reputation of RC was so sullied, from racism to
Mm.
abuse to it being a cult, and just all the craziness throughout the years. Or when they used to have basketball tournaments, one of the guys from this opposing team ended up dying at
I was
the.
there. I was there when that happened. He like had it was during a game and he had a heart attack, I believe. Fell down and had a heart attack. It took forever for the ambulance to get out there.
They just, one thing about them, they lack empathy. I don't think there's like soul, like they don't have a soul. It's
Mhm.
like their issue to everything. There's no room for mourning. You have to put on joy. You have to
Yeah.
put on it.
It's a
Everything's about
constant putting
putting
on.
on,
Yeah.
putting on, putting on, putting on, putting on. And it's like, bro, Jesus wept. The shortest verse of the Bible.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you're constantly being told, well, Jesus wouldn't be upset if this happened. So like if you're constantly being like anything about your feeling, anything that you say, you're constantly being pretty much, well, Jesus did it, then you can do,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch, I'm not Jesus. I'm doing my best.
For sure.
I'm doing my best, so yeah, so as a staff member, so there was that, but then there was also, so I'm heading up so my so me being head of this kind of was like an escape in a sense, because one, I'm back to doing what I thought based on how my life was going, God had stripped me of that. Like, just said, well, you know what? I thought I messed up so bad that there's no way God can use it. That was basically my whole like outlook on life. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like, man, God took those gifts away. And obviously that was a lie from the enemy, because
Mm.
not only did he restore, it's like he put on pause what he's already had in me the whole time, because any gift that
Mm-hmm.
God gives you, it's in you. No one can take that out of you. Only he can. But he's
Mm-hmm.
not going to take a gift. He gives freely, right? So, so, so it was kind of my escape, right? So I headed up the screen printing program. And my way of being able to make money was, uh, I would have to price, the different jobs in a way to where I'm not getting screwed, because I was basically getting paid $1 a shirt. So, somebody comes in and they want $100 order. And this is just for people who don't know about screen printing, but just in the basics. Everything you print on a shirt costs, whether it's on the front, on the back, all the stuff, whatever. There are different there's a lot of money that really goes into making one shirt. So you do a lot of work to do one shirt. But in order for me to be incentivized to make more money, I had to charge a setup fee and an art fee. Now, no one no one can do that. You know what I'm saying? But me, no one's creative. No one even knows how to barely use a computer in that place. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, this is all new to them. So I literally had carte blanche to do whatever. The only thing is that, if I needed supplies, I write up, tell them I need these for supplies, and they'll order it. That's pretty much it. That's really much the only thing. So, so I'm not only am I just, because people don't know, when you're in the program and even as a staff member, you wear many hats. So not only am I doing that, I'm teaching classes. There's times where I have to do lunch. There's times where I'm still the dorm supervisor. So I'm still overseeing the students at the same time. I'm still doing this. I'm still reaching out to different people, and you're wearing a million hats. Your day is there's never a moment where you're just sitting around.
Mm-hmm.
There's never a moment, right? So, one of the major red flags is, um, during. So there's two times we had a COVID outbreak as a student and as a staff member. As a student, me and another guy named Austin, we literally were the only. Think about this: 12 acres usually takes all of us to do everything. Me and this dude still had to carry on as if business as usual, but with just two people. But during that time, it was only me and him doing everything. Now at this time, out of nowhere, I had two ankle injury. Like, I had an ankle, not even an injury. It was just like randomly when I was in the center, randomly one day, my ankle was giving me so much pain, like to the point where I couldn't even put weight on it. And it will go off and on depending on whatever the mood is. But we were being overworked so much to where I had two. Now I was putting so much pressure on one ankle that the other one was bad too, to where there were mornings where I'm literally crawling to the bathroom.
Mm.
I'm literally crawling, but I'm crawling because guess what? Oh God, you've done so much in my life. I'm dedicated to you. I'll do anything.
Yeah.
At that
Mm.
point, you're because Bill Gothard teaches that God takes away your rights. No, he wants you to surrender your rights, and God gives our rights back as privilege. So you look at basic human rights as a privilege.
Mm.
So me being tired, man, we're gonna pray about it. Me being hurt, man, we're gonna pray about it. Everything is just we're just gonna pray about it
Mm.
instead of actually, doing. Anyways, KD ended up getting COVID and kidney problems. You know what I'm saying? He had a whole heart thing, like whatever it's called. You know what I'm saying? And I basically most of the time I was delivering him food and stuff, and I'm constantly just seeing him deteriorate. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And this is a guy that throughout the program, mind you, I'm the only black dude who's gotten this far in the program in a long time. And while I was a student, while he was still like, well, he would tell me because he would teach some classes too. And he would just tell me how proud he was of me. He's like, man, there's been a lot of brothers who's come and gone throughout this program, and a lot of them don't make it through. And he was like, man, I'm just so proud of you. You know, he was a guy that constantly inspired and encouraged me to keep going. So many voice recordings with him, man. So anyway, here's the thing. So I ended up, you know, it was going on Christmas time or whatever. And I remember, I think we were doing a Zoom of some sort. And we were going over some type of lesson. It was a former youth pastor. Uh, when she left, that was the craziest thing for me in general that I didn't know. I remember the moment that I figured that I know what the breaking moment was. We were all on Zoom and we're going over different things within the Bible, and the floor is open for people to share whatever they, God's led on their heart to share. And she's sharing, and DK keeps cutting her off or trying to, no, 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 that's not, no, you should, no, like trying to, it's not in line with his train of thought. So it was totally, she's saying real straight up facts. Like that lady knows her word, right?
Mm.
And he's just undermining everything she's saying, cutting her off to the point where she just felt like she didn't even have nothing to say. I remember her saying, it's like, no, I don't have any, like, that's it. Like, it, and when she left, this is a devout woman. She was so invested. I mean, she grew up with you guys.
Yeah.
So you guys know her. I mean, her mom is extreme. I love her. But there's like, this is the place that morphed them, that changed their lives. They escaped Mexico. They left Mexico. And I feel like the wheels were turning for her. I feel like it was probably happened to me before, but I feel like at that moment is where I noticed that okay, something's off, especially when they left. Her husband and the kids left. Now they didn't live on campus. They obviously just came here every Sunday and every Wednesday for the youth service and stuff like that. But when they left, I was like, wow. But not too long over at a dinner, Skeet pulls up next to me. He says, "Hey man, DK was talking, and man, we really see you as being the next, youth pastor, you
Oh,
know."
wow.
And because I'm really, when it comes to the Word of God, I'm really great at and I'm just saying I'm not trying to like both, but God has given me the gift to be able to teach the Word of God. You know what I'm saying, and break things down to where using analogies and different things to really make it understandable, like illustrations, things like that, to really help people understand what the Word of God is
Hmm.
saying. And so of course that kind of, when you get that news, I didn't feel right in my spirit about it because I'm thinking, bro, if I become a youth pastor here, I'm not really going to have any type of voice because anything that you pretty much teach is basically passed down from what DK wants to be taught. If it's anything like different, it's just like you have to stay on track with what he's trying to promote or
Yeah.
teach. You know what I'm saying? It's like it all has to be in line. It's not organically, it's all manufactured. And that's the thing. like these people speak about the Spirit of God and how it's like all this sort of thing. But when you look in the Bible and you look at what the Holy Spirit does, He's always doing a new thing because people are always experiencing new experiences from generations before. They've
Mm-hmm.
experienced this generation is other. So the Holy Spirit is always doing something new. But if you're a one track guy and you're just so stuck on one thing and it has to be this way, it has to be this way, then everyone else falls in line because you're the leader. So whatever you say goes, you know what I'm saying? So I looked at it like, bro, I would be here forever. Like I was like it clicked. So what I did was I said, man, I'm gonna fast. So what I started doing, because we have 3 meals a day. So what I did was 1 month, I think November, I went from the 3 meals to two, then December 2 to 1, and then January came, and this is leading into my leaving.
You are on staff and everything. You're coming towards the end
Right.
of your exit. Um,
Yeah.
what was one of the things we're saying like this is kind of full circle
Yeah.
and everything. So what happened when one of the elders called you
Man, man. So it was a staff meeting on one day, and at this time, like I was saying, I had fasted. So at this time, I had fasted from like social media at the time, and I remember going to the staff meeting, and one of the ladies, she said, "Hey, if you guys got any weird messages from like this page or whatever, um, man, don't even bother looking into it because man, this thing rears its ugly head every 5 or so years. Like these people that hate, like a hate group, right? Like
mm-hmm.
this hate group that rears its ugly head every so often. Don't even ignore them. They don't know what to talk about." Now, my ears perked out instantly because I'm just like, if it's not someone that we need to worry about, or it's just like instant perfectly because it's just like any child, anybody, it's just like when you say don't do something to something I'm unaware of, like I don't even know what you're talking about. But when you say, hey, don't worry about this thing, I'm gonna go check. And mind you, you guys are strategic. Brenda, I love you. Troy, Brenda was strategic because she sent the message to the Restoration City Screen Printing. Obviously, you didn't know my name, but the message went to the Restoration Screen Printing page that I created. Now on Facebook,
Wow.
they don't have it to where you can create a business page apart from a personal page. They have to be kind of like entwined for some reason. I don't know. It used to be where you could have a separate business page
Mm-hmm.
from your personal page, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more like a tab now. So
Mm-hmm.
the business page was linked to my personal Facebook as well, and so I'm doing business now. Mind you, at this time, for some reason, the I know it was God, but the business had slowed up. Like literally, beginning of the year, it's like I wasn't getting any business. Like nobody was hitting on anything. Like it was just like it was crazy because I was for the first 6 months, it was a boom. It was
Mm-hmm.
insane. But then it just slowed up, and so I go and check because all right, I'm checking now I'm in the office. I have my own office, my own space. You know what I'm saying? As a staff member, I'm the first when you first come into the office. I'm the first room to the right where I do all my creating on the computer, and then I got my screen printing in the back, and so I go in there and I'm like, man, let me see what they talking about. I go in there, I'm checking if I got any messages from like a business or somebody reaching out for work, and I see a profile with like a dog, and it was Brenda, and I read it, and I was just like, huh, just kind of just reading, just listening to what y'all were saying. I think on there was a link to, I think the actual page,
Mm-hmm.
your actual page, I believe, like the Colton Overcoming page
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. And I saw I saw, faces that I didn't recognize, but then I saw Kaylin
Mhm.
and I saw Amanda, people that I was in the program with. Well, Kaylin wasn't in the member. She grew up there and was a staff member. Amanda, I was in the program with. She was in there months prior to me, but we were in the program together. And so I started listening to the stories and I'm like, what? Like, I'm listening to stories of people who have been here 25 plus years or however long prior to me being here.
Mhm.
And the same things that they were saying were going on to this day.
Mm.
And I said, like, people gotta understand. It's like you were in the days, like, this whole time. It's like you have a veil over your eyes this whole time,
Mhm.
like of how you view everyone there, how you see everything, because everyone's perfect except for the students. No one really has issues. Everyone has a smile on their face. Everyone is giving you encouraging words. And
Mhm.
when they would have little cracks in their chinks in their armor of actually showing them real selves, they have a way of explaining that away or some sort. But it's like something came over me. It's like, what? You know what I'm saying? I was
Mhm.
just so like, what the hell is going like it's like I was in it, like I just was just so in shock. I couldn't believe what I was listening to and what I was seeing, and I was starting to just put two and two together. I was like, bro, I'm in a fucking cult.
Mm. So
What?
did you believe everything you were hearing,
Yeah, because
or was it?
at that point where it was smoke, it was smoke. It was smoke.
Mhm.
Now I was already like eaten up about how things have been. I was just in it. I was emotionally just drained, and so I'm sitting there like, what the hell? So then I also started doing my own research, and I put in signs that you're. And I want people who are in the program watching this. I want people who were watching this and don't know but are interested in how can people get in. Look at just type in signs that you're in a cult or
Mhm.
signs that you're in a spiritual abusive church that led me down a rabbit hole. Just go to one that says top 10 signs that shows you that you're in a cult or not. And every single thing they said is right there in our face.
Mm.
And now imagine trying to now do life now in a cult that now you have been made aware of that you're in a cult.
Mhm.
And now you looking at everyone as, oh, everyone, I gotta find a way out of this because you have to escape. It's not like there is no,
Did you literally escape?
yep, I escaped. So I'm gonna tell you my escape story. Um, so that happens, and I'm one of those people, I don't hide my emotions. Like if I'm feeling some type of way, you're gonna know I'm feeling some type of way, you know what I'm saying, about something. And now, mind you, now this is something that you got to keep secret. You keep secret to yourself.
Yeah.
But it's me and KG, me and KG are we're hip to it. Now, mind you, I'm going to tell you now, mind you, here's the next thing, the next milestone. So, boom, I get the message, Vale. Oh my God, where the hell am I? The next thing is, all right, so how do I plan my escape? How do I go? I've been in a place for this long. I have debt from stuff before. I have no work history prior, like for the past 2 years. Like I'm thinking of
Mhm.
like, how am I gonna do life again? Like everything's been stripped of me. I barely make enough money to pay my phone bills. You know what I'm saying? If the
Mhm.
business is not going up, I have no way of like, so I'm just thinking of so many different ways on how I can get out of here. So I was in contact, so I reached out to three different people and told them, like, yo, I'm in a cult, bro. And, I didn't realize it. I reached out to three people outside of there.
Yeah.
And so, so one day I was taking I'm not gonna say his name, but one of the students who I was a big brother for, and also the mentor. I mean, also, just dorm supervisor over. He had an off-campus visit. I took him on that visit, and this all ties into continuing on with, oh, I'm definitely in a cult. So I take him out, and this is awesome. Took him to a baseball game that his nephew that he hadn't seen in forever since he was born in high school, killing it. Picture because before he was there, he lived 5 years under a bridge downtown Houston, hooked on drugs, all that sort of stuff. So he was able to see his nephew, that he wasn't able, right? And we come back to the dorm, everything's good. Daylight savings happen or whatever the case may be. So people don't know your day starts at 5:30 or 5 to 10 p.m. So him and another guy ended up getting in bed early. Because the time doesn't change until 2 or 3 in the morning, but they ended up getting in the bed early, an hour early. And of course I went in there and just like, hey bro, like I wasn't even like on his head. I'm just like, hey, bro, you know the rules. Come on, man. You gotta get out of bed because you're not allowed to sleep, lay down, whatever the case may be. Like, it's weird. But so he has a fit. He blows up, but this is normal because he has anger issues. Like that's his thing. But he's going on and on, blah blah blah. And we're walking back to the day room. That's where um the TV is, where people chill at. I'm saying it was a weekend, and he turns around before he gets in the door because he's jawing at me the whole time. I'm like, yeah, 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 bro. We go through this all like all this sort of stuff, and then he says, you know what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, all you are is a fucking nigger. He says,
Oh my
he said,
God.
oh, you say that? No, but he says, he says, yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? At the end of the day, all you are is a fucking nigger.
What the? This is somebody that was in the program? Oh my gosh.
I sat, I I literally, it didn't even register in my head because of all people, he would have been the last person I would have thought.
Yeah.
He would have been the last person I would have thought to say something like that.
Oh my God.
One of the guys I went through the program with, who's a staff member, he's known to be part of the Aryan Brotherhood. I mean, he has swastikas and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
He would have been the first one out of everybody to call me that. And I sat there and I said, I was going to snap. I said, I picked up my phone, I called Skeet. I said, you're gonna have to come down to this day room right now before I fuck him up.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
so he, mind you, they live on campus. They literally live right there. Like, so he came and pretty much told us that we got to go to the office, pretty much a immediate counseling session. So we go in there and I tell Skeet the situation. Skeet's there, as usual, office, got the, not, got the Bible. And as you're talking and you're going through, and so as I'm explaining the story, he's going through. He's like, "Mm." and then he goes to him. He's like, man, you know what you did? It was wrong. He's like talking to him like he's like 3 years old. Like he just like stole a cookie out of a cookie jar.
Oh my
Like
God.
it was like literally just
Slap on the hand type of
that's
thing.
like words like that. You can't really do that. And as he's saying that, as he's talking to him, he's like, Darien, he's been in the program long enough, and he knows that, we're to forgive our brothers of any type of. So in the same sense, he's kind of like double counseling, but it's like minimizing any type. Like I'm supposed to, any type of feeling, any type of anything. I'm supposed to in that immediate moment, like act like that ain't never happened. And I'm sitting here like, bro, I'm not the one in here who did anything. I did
Mm.
nothing. But it's as if like you're trying to pretty much reinforce within like while you're handling him with kid, you know what his punishment was? He has to say sorry. Now
That was
you
it.
gotta apologize. He does not. This man didn't get no demerits. He didn't get any things taken from him. He didn't nothing, nothing,
Crap.
nothing. And you know what else is crazy? We went right back to the dorm, mind you, because I don't even have a room. And guess what? We sleep right across from each other.
So
So I have
basically,
to,
you were just supposed to forgive him. Nothing happened with him and just move on with your night.
and move on with my night
Oh
as
my
if like nothing ever
gosh.
happened. So then that's when
Dude,
I was
that's
just like,
crazy.
I said this of all people. Now this is a person that I actually trusted. Now it took a lot for me to even trust anybody, but you're the one person I trusted, like with everything. And so that moment happened. Now, mind you, that's just 2 weeks later after I forgot. It was just everything's just so fresh. So Katie dying, uh, A's cancer thing, this situation, and it's like, bro, I'm breaking down because it's
Mm,
like I'm a real human. I have
mhm.
emotion, like I'm dealing, like bro, and I'm wrestling with, oh, I'm in a cult,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like you got to keep this all to yourself, right? So then staff meeting again after that. That was on a Saturday, staff meetings on Monday. Then he comes in, well, he was at work or whatever the case may be. And I don't, at this point, anything RK ever comes out of her mouth is bullshit. So I don't even listen to anything she said.
Oh,
It's a everything is a performance
yeah.
there. Everything's a performance. So then we go through all of that whole thing. And then I guess they text in or whatever the case may be with Skeet, and then he comes and he's talking, hey man, what's going on? I'm like, bro, what do you mean what's going on? It's like, bro, I said, bro, because I'm sitting at my computer trying to create different design. I was like, bro, I said, one, all this that just happened, plus I'm dealing with mourning of this person and the news of this person and what just happened, being called a fucking nigger and all this other
Mm,
stuff, uh and then uh I said, and then I'm like, bro, and then I'm supposed to be focused on the task at hand. I said, bro, I can't create anything. I said, bro, anything we do, anything that I do, I said, as someone who's creative, I said, I have to have inspiration. I said, I have no inspiration. When I leave here, the only time we leave is because of this place. It's everything ties anything that I ever touch or do turns right back to RC. So I don't see a future beyond this place. Like everything is tied here.
mhm.
Like everything. I can't do nothing. And of course the gaslighting, just saying at this point that day I didn't listen to anything he said ever, like literally, like nothing. I don't give a fuck because you didn't care. You
Yeah.
literally just, it was, you're just trying to you're trying to put a Hello Kitty band-aid on a bullet wound.
Mhm.
Like, that's not doing anything. And that place is just slap Jesus on it. Like, you can't just slap Jesus on. I tell people all the time, I say, what good is what good is a prescription if no one tells you how to apply it? If you get a prescription for a pill that says you got to take twice daily or whatever the case may be, but they don't tell you that, what good is that for you? If no
Mhm.
one's telling you how to apply this thing in order to get the best out of whatever this is, if you're just telling me the solution, you're telling me I'm the problem, but yet here's the solution, but you're not telling me how to get to the solution, you don't have the answers. And that's when I realized is that you guys just spew a lot of bullshit. You don't have an answer for everything. We all come here looking for answers. You guys pompously, arrogantly give us this assurance that you guys, that we're living our best life now, that we're God's chosen people, that God's going to do an amazing work here, and that God is using you guys, preparing you guys up, to send you guys out, and all this other stuff. But everything that you're saying is bullshit, because everything is to keep us here, to do the work that, because you guys are out living your lives, doing whatever you got. This person going on vacation. She got DK doing all these boat trips, all this other stuff, like doing all these different trips on the backs of us.
Mm.
You don't work. You don't work. Your wife works. You don't work.
Mm.
Your wife works. You
Wow.
work. You work. You do all. So that happened, and then that's when I said I gotta escape. So I decided, so this was the thing. Maybe a week or so. I didn't have a plan per se, but I knew that I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to save up enough money. My timetable initially was probably like August or September. This is March. And, so I said that could give me enough time to build up some business, and I could just save money. I could
Mhm.
save money and just get the hell out of here. And, so, um, there was a movie that came out, called, the series, like the series, like The Case for Christ. There was like a movie called, I think, The Case for Christianity, or something that had just came out, or was about to
Mhm.
just come out. And there was we got a text about, a voluntary trip to go, see this movie, what I'm saying, because David was really excited about this movie, and that he would love to, I think, teach about, or pretty much dissect everything that Rick Warren says, and have a whole lesson plan about it
Mm.
on Sunday, right? So, mind you, volunteer, volunteer. So Monday we get the group text, about the movie, blah blah blah. Now, mind you, at this time I'm actually getting some work, and I'm like, man, I got some orders I can fill. I'm like, I'm not trying to go to the movie. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to go to the movies. Because one, I know this is a cult now. I'm tired of the song, and the pony show we get put on. It's like, oh, here's the leaders of RC, and it's bag of misfits. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We're always just getting drugged around. You know what I'm saying? Our stories are being exploited. We're constantly sharing our testimonies. You guys never share a testimony, but we're constantly airing out our dirty laundry for the world to hear about how God had brought us. Because, mind you, when you write your testimony out, RK is the one. She edits your she edits your testimony. It's your testimony, but
Mhm.
she edits it to where, and, at the end, you got to basically make sure RC is the reason why. All right, God has brought us to RC, right?
Mhm.
So I'm tired of that. I'm just like, bro, this is all a lie. This is a sham. So I said, man, I said, man, I'll just, because I'm like, we're not going until Wednesday, so I want to give them enough time to figure out who's going to drive everybody, because I'm not going. So I said, yeah, I'm not interested in going. That's what I text in it. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And then you get some messages like, did you need someone to buy your ticket, or, stuff like that. And then Skeet texts, not interested. That's not like you. That was a text. Now, mind you, it's a group text. I didn't respond to that because I'm looking at a text like, that's not like you. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not trying to go to the movie. You know what I'm saying? So the next day, Tuesday, no messages about it, nothing like that. The day of the movie. This is the camel. This is this sped up my escape, because this was the day I escaped. So that Wednesday, I get I'm in the office now. I'm not thinking about escaping, but I had to speed up the process. So, I'm in the office working on some things with the business, and Arcade comes in, and she's like, "Hey, um, so my dad, he went and he made sure, he bought you a ticket, to go to the movie. I wasn't sure if it was like a funny thing or anything, but he went on and bought you a ticket. And I said, well, why? I already told you guys I'm not interested in going. And she was like, well, why aren't you interested in going? I said, I'm not interested in going. That's my why. Like, what, like as an adult, what other reason outside of that do you need to explain to anyone why you don't want to go to a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm like, I said, okay, but I already let y'all know that I'm not interested in going. So I mean, you just got an extra ticket on your hand, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to respond. She was like, she was just like, okay. So she leaves out. So I'm continuing on what I'm doing. So I'm in the shop doing what I'm doing. Then I get a call, maybe a couple hours later, I get a call from Skeet. And Skeet's like, hey, so DK man, he bought an extra ticket for you, and you know, about going to the movie or whatever. And I said, bro, I said, yeah, I already let y'all know. I let y'all know that I'm not interested in going. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you want me to tell DK that? I said, yeah, you can tell, like, because in my head, DK is just another man, bro. He's just
Mm-hmm.
another man. Like I never, even from the moment I got there to the moment I left, I never looked at him the way they worshipped him. They
Mm-hmm.
worshipped him. People have almost gotten to car accidents because DK has sent a message about having to do something. This dude almost gets in an accident trying to turn as quick as he can just to go back
Jeez.
to the center. Like I'm just seeing how now my eyes are open and I'm just
Yeah,
looking
you're
back at my timeline, looking
noticing.
back
Yeah.
at all these different things. I'm like, yeah, so then RK, after I get off the phone with Skeet, then RK calls me maybe an hour after that, and she was like, "Hey, so did my dad call?" I said, "No, I didn't get no call." Oh, okay, well, so the movie is so now it's mandatory that all staff members go to this movie or whatever the case may be. I said, so now it's mandatory. It was just voluntary. I said, regardless of what you're saying, I said, I'm not going to this movie, regardless of what you're saying. Like, I don't care because I'm seeing this
Oh,
game.
yeah.
I'm seeing this game. And then 30 minutes later, I got the call from the headmaster himself, DK. Hey, brother. Hey, so I gone on and went and bought you. It's like the same damn script. It's like, hey, I've gone on and bought you. It's all gaslighting, obviously. I've
Yeah.
gone on and got you a ticket. Go to the movie. We're going on this whole spiel, and I'm like, well, I mean, thank you for the ticket, but I had already let people know that I'm not interested in going. And he was just like, well, that's not an excuse to not go. I said, huh? I said, I said, that's not an excuse to go, because, and then he goes on as to why we go to the movie, why we're going to the movie. Then you know how he does. He goes into
Mm-hmm.
these long diatribes, like, oh my God, just on and on and on and on, not letting you, mind you, not letting you get a word in. Or even if
Mm-hmm.
you got to interject, right? He busts you off. So I said, so he's going through about how he goes back to talking about how you know uh rebellion is the spirit of witchcraft, and God, he places people under authority, and when you disobey the authority that God has placed over you, you're disobeying God. And he's going on all these different things on how I said, so based on what you're saying is, so I'm not saved, is what you're saying. Like, what are you saying, right? And he's going on, and he's now, because when you ask a question to a narcissist, they take that as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So he's taking it as if I'm challenging him. He's all worked up. And I said, first off, you're sitting here raising your voice. You're basically yelling. And he's like, what am I supposed to handle you with kid gloves? All
Oh
this other
my
stuff. And
God.
and then
That
he
sounds
says,
like
and then he
him.
says, yeah, and then he says, Pete, do you hear this? Pete was on three-way the whole time. He he says, yeah, I mean, I'll but he's not saying that, you know what I mean, blah blah blah. And
Mm,
I'm sitting here like, so this whole time you got two people on the phone call. Well, I'm thinking what happened? A man to man talk, and you're over here you're a whole bitch.
oh my
You're a
gosh.
whole bitch. Like you're sitting here like it was just like, okay. I said I gotta get the hell out of here. So while he's talking, I got it on speakerphone. I'm texting my best friend. Shout out Jaime. Shout out my boy Jaime. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. Jaime, I'm texting him because mind you, I've already let those like maybe like three people. My friend that lived out here in Washington, Jaime, who was the last person who I had dinner with before I left to go into the program, and I reached out to AZ, who brought me to the program. So I'm letting all of them know, like, yo, this is crazy. So Jaime says, bro, I'm gonna come get you. So while this is all going on, Jaime is already on his way to come get me. Now, mind you, they're going to the movie that's at 6 o'clock. This is around like four something. So they're basically about to get all ready to go. So at the end of what he's saying, so he goes on. And I said, bro, I got to the point. I said, bro, at the end of the day, I'm not going to this movie. I don't care what you're saying to me right now. I'm not going to the movie. And he's like, okay, well, you know what? Well, well, pack up your things and leave. Go, get out of here.
Holy shit. You know why? It has nothing to do with the movie because you were questioning his authority.
So I said, okay, okay. But the phone conversation didn't end there because obviously that wasn't the answer that he was expecting. He expecting that you're gonna grovel and like, oh, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. You know what I'm saying? But I'm smarter. Honestly, I'm smarter. I'm not saying this to say this, bro. I'm not trying to boast myself up, but I'm smarter than literally every person on that campus. Literally, literally, literally. So it's like, bro, once I saw the veil removed from my eyes, I realized, oh, I know I need to make a plan of exit some type of way. So I already have my ducks in a row. So, but before he gets off, just like any abuser and anything, they still try to keep this thing. He's like, so you go from telling me to go to me saying okay to then say, well, we're all gonna get ready to go for the movie, but we'll talk to you when we get back. Like as if I'm like gonna be here when you get back. I said, perfect. They're gone. I'm talking about maybe 20 minutes after they all left. Jaime was there. I grabbed whatever I could put in my suitcase. I couldn't even go back into the office because the office was locked. My computer and everything was in there, but I didn't give a fuck. I said, I gotta get the hell out of here. I didn't care.
Oh
I did
my
anything that I
God.
couldn't fit in that suitcase. That's all I had. Anything that I could fit in the suitcase, and I got the hell out of
Wow.
Dodge. I got out of there.
So,
So
so
yeah. So
you
that's the
left, so you left when they were at the movies.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Literally
So
escaping.
shout out to Escape, literally, and of course, you know, um, I'm. So while I'm talking so I reached out to RK. She reaches out to AZ, my homeboy AZ. She reaches out to him because she knows that's our best friend and they know him. You know what I'm saying? So she's basically trying to spew to him like nonsense, like I'm doing all this other stuff before I can talk to him. But he
Hmm.
knows me. He knows me. We've lived together. You know what I'm saying? So he knows I
Hmm.
don't be lying about stuff, but you gotta understand he's stuck in the rock between the hard places because he's just so confused. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because he's a guy who sees the best in everybody. He's done so much business and stuff with this organization, and then he's like he just couldn't understand because he's like he even said he's like, man, I don't understand why people go there, and then it just seems like something always happens. Like he was just confused,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't really explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but bro, it just is not from God. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, I just need somewhere to stay. And he was like, bro, of course you can come stay with me. Now, mind you, he was actually going on tour that weekend, but he knows me. So he was like, bro, you can stay at my house. You know what I'm saying? Everything like that. You know, I'm gonna go on tour this weekend, but I'll be back. And then a week later, he bought me my plane ticket to Washington. And
Thank goodness for
yeah,
other people in our lives, you know.
yeah,
I am so glad that you
yeah,
have shared, and I hope that, man, and you are just so recently out
yeah,
too. And
yeah,
I know it can't be easy still mentally dealing with all of this and
yeah.
everything. And one thing I do want to tell people too is that, you know, I think we talked about this on the phone, was that
You're
no,
good.
all the
No, you're good.
physical and sexual abuse is horrible, but there is a lot of
Right,
mental,
right.
psychological, spiritual abuse
You
that goes
question, you
on.
question, you when you escape somewhere out there, you're constantly questioning who you are because the person you were prior to going to any situation like that has been stripped away from
Yeah,
you.
for
It's been
sure.
stripped away of you. So all you know is from the time that you were in that space
Yeah.
to after. So you're also told that when you leave, that you're no longer under God's blessing, His umbrella, right? You've
Mhm.
moved outside of His grace and His everything, and you're even though you know the truth, but you've been so indoctrinated, and you've been constantly been fear mongered into believing that everyone who leaves this place, you get told this story about somebody who left, and maybe a year or two afterwards, they were dead. You hear all these like horrible stories about people who have left and,
Mhm.
before God's timing or before, you know, all this other stuff. So I just say all that to say to anybody out there,
Mhm.
anybody who's watching this, anybody who's going through something like this, I just want to encourage you and tell you that Jesus loves you. Those are lies from the enemy.
Okay.
Uh, there isn't a church, there isn't a perfect church, there isn't a perfect pastor, there isn't whenever you're in a position or a place that believes that we're God's answer for the world, or feel like it's us against the world, or that we
Mhm.
have this special anointing over this place and no one else has it, it's a lie. The
Yeah.
Lord has created each and one of us uniquely. We're all created by Him and for Him. But whenever someone takes your love and dedication for God and weaponizes it against you, just know that that is of the enemy, that is of
Mhm.
Satan, that is not of God, regardless of what you're going through. So I just want to say that you were unique. Your stories, your testimony, the experiences that you've gone through is unique to you. To you. There is no one size fit all application for your life and the different traumas and different things that you've experienced in your life. That's why the Holy Spirit is so beautiful that He'll meet you where you are.
Mhm.
There's no one on the history of this planet that has a testimony that's exactly the same. And I'll just leave you with that is that He loves you and that you're not an outcast. He'll meet you where you are.
Amen. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on, and I'm sure you have
Mhm.
a ton more stories, so we'll have to do this again where we have
For
a few
sure.
people on chatting and stuff.
Maybe in person.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about
Hmm.
that soon. I'm just gonna end the recording here, but
Yeah.
we can stay on
Yeah.
for just a second.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for listening and tuning in. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the views and stuff. And please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube
Do it.
on
Do
the
it.
Oktober. Um, bye everyone, and hope you have a good evening and or night or day or whatever. Bye.
Mhm.